Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to this special After Dark edition of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Linda.
And I'm Chris.
And we have our good friend Benito here with you tonight. I figured you were going. I was hoping you'd introduce yourself, but there was just a little bit of a lag there, and I jumped on top of you. But anyway, welcome, Benito. We're glad to have you here tonight.
Thanks. I love being here.
So tonight we're going to be talking about a kind of a strange movie that Benito turned us on to. And Benito, you want to tell us how you came across the movie to begin with? And, of course, what the name of the movie?
That's a great question. Let's see. I'm on Reddit quite a bit, and there's so many subreddits that I belong to, and some of them are completely off. Out in left field, and this one was probably something Reddit discussion about crazy movies or movies that take a left turn and make you ask yourself what the hell is going on. And I'm sure this came up that way, and I read the preview on it, watched the trailer, and convinced my wife Megan that we should probably watch it, and it did exactly that. It took a left turn, and at the end, Megan and I looked at each other and said, "What the hell did we just watch?"
Yeah, that was actually
in a good way. But in a good way.
In a good way, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It kept me hooked till the end because I was wondering what the hell is she going to give birth to. So anyway, the movie we're talking about is Titane. I've heard it called both. And that's kind of what my background wallpaper alludes to here tonight. So I think, Benito, you want to give us a little kind of an overview of what it is. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, there are going to be spoilers here tonight because we're going to talk about this thing like we made it. And so I'll let Benito jump in and kind of give a story. If you haven't seen it already and you don't want spoilers, tune out, go watch it, and come back and watch the rest of the show. All right, Benito, go for it.
So I don't want to give away a whole lot here in the beginning because we'll get into it as we talk about it. But basically, the things I'll tell you happen really early on. The movie is about a girl, and she is technically, I think, like a go-go dancer. She is like a promo girl. It looks like either at car shows is what I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. And, she's the cute chick that dances around the car. Except for she does more than just dance around the car. She has a really graphic on the hood one-on-one encounter with this Mexican lowrider, this vato machine. And it's quite sensual. But before the movie even really gets to rolling, in the first few minutes, you see that she's a little girl. And I think she's traveling with her mom, if I remember correctly, and they get into a car wreck. And she gets
her dad.
Oh, her dad.
Her dad and her mom.
Oh, that's right. Because that comes up sort of later. But anyway, she gets injured fairly badly and gets some metal plates and screws.
Like a titanium plate in her head, which I think maybe is where the title of the movie comes from.
Right. But. Exactly. I think she maybe even had, you can see a giant scar on the side of her head, which again comes back into play later. But so very quickly in the movie, you find out that, there you go. Very quickly in the movie, you find out that for whatever reason after the accident, I don't know if she has a connection with vehicles because of the titanium plate and the whatnot.
Well, she almost
It was almost immediate after she got out of the hospital.
Yeah, the media walked out.
I almost saw it as actually before that, because as they're driving in the car, isn't she making engine noises?
Yeah.
That's irritating her dad.
Right. Yeah,
seatbelt, which
and
is
so
what
I thought she had kind of a fascination or a connection with cars to begin with. So maybe that just made it deeper. But anyway, go ahead.
Sure. But yeah, so anyway, very early on, you find out that she actually really likes cars. Like she really has a sexual attraction to cars.
Mm-hmm.
And again, pretty quick in the movie, you find that it's not just a sexual attraction to cars. She likes to make love to cars, and the cars seem to enjoy making
love to her.
Right. So it's not as graphic as you would think. It's not a tailpipe in the you know what or the
right.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more
easier imagination, but
yeah, you can fill in some blanks, but the way it's shot is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I have to say, when I got to that point, so this is very early in the movie, really, right? Where so she does this her dance routine at this car show, and then afterwards she's leaving the car show, and she's like, seems like one of the last people to leave, and she's followed out by, I guess, what you'd consider to be a car show groupie or something.
Sure. Yeah,
big fan of the girl dancers, and so she's really kind of nervous and trying to hurry up and realizes she's being followed by this guy. So she makes it to her car fast, gets in, shuts the door real quick, and the guy gets there. He's pounding on the window, and he says, I've been waiting for hours. I just want to get your autograph. Can I get your autograph? Right. And so finally she rolls down the window enough to get the paper and pen in there so she can give him the autograph, and he hands it back to him. And that's when he professes his love for her, kind of the stalker type of thing. Right.
This is her.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, so at that point, I think he asks if he can kiss her or something, right? And so she rolls down the window. They lean in. They're going at it for a kiss, and right about that time, she pulls this long hairpin out of her hair and just jabs it into his brain through his ear, and he starts foaming at the mouth, and it's running all over her. And when he finally stops thrashing, she kicks him back out the window of the car onto the ground, and then heads in and takes a shower to get cleaned up, because of course she's covered with the guy's drool from his death.
Yeah,
death drool. Gross. Yeah, death drool would be pretty disgusting, I would think. And then she comes out to the car, and I don't know if maybe that murder was an aphrodisiac in some way for her. That was my thought in watching the show, because the next thing you see is she goes out and she's in the car, and she's, handcuffed to the.
She heard a noise, right? The car honked, right? So
yeah, the car.
I think so. But then she's like handcuffed to the handrails by the doors or something, or
she's holding on to them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So either she did that, or the car somehow got her arms up to.
Right.
Right. And so we see her, getting off essentially, and then the car starts doing its, hopping thing. I don't know. The car's bouncing.
The car was into it just as much as she was.
Yeah, just very low rider, front end bouncing up and down, and
right, just going to town. And so it isn't long after that we see she's starting to get a little belly on her.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
right. Right. Of course, I mean, there's some things that happen in between, but you don't really put two and two together that is a
not initially
a car baby or whatever.
Yeah,
right.
it gets weird. So she ends up going to this party with a friend. And she starts, they're about to have sex, or they're having sex, and she starts leaking what later on you come to realize is motor oil.
Yeah,
she's got this black substance like oozing from her.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and she's trying to be a lesbian with this other cute chick that's a dancer, and she's
Yep.
not very good at that. And
Right.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, her
And-
life just is spiraling.
Yeah, and this is where, like, when you say spiraling, things really start to kind of spiral a little bit out of control, because you get the sense, who is she? Is she just cool with murdering people or whatever? But she proceeds to kill everyone at this house party that she's at, except for this the one chick that gets away. But then she just, she gets up and starts killing everybody, and it's like, whoa,
Right. Because
like,
that first murder was like, I kind of get it. This guy's attacking her and forcing himself on her, and you think, well, it's self-defense. Okay, we'll let her slide on that one.
Right.
But you're right. And when she goes to the house, she just kills everybody. Just like.
But as I was looking at that, she didn't seem surprised or shocked or horrified that she murdered the guy. And if I remember rightly, it was the next day or so. I think maybe the next day. She woke up the next morning and she was like fixing breakfast. And
the news.
Yeah, and the news was on talking about another murder, there's a serial murder. And she's kind of watching that and paying attention to it. So in my mind, I was thinking this may not be the first person she's killed.
Right.
Because she seemed pretty comfortable with it. There she is.
My understanding is that she was probably a serial murderer and she had been killing people for a few months.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of what I thought. And, we should probably throw in here because I think I want to kind of make a point to this later. When the show opens and they're driving down the road, she's with her dad in the car before the accident. She's making car sounds. The father is doesn't seem very connected to her at all. Very emotionless, I would say, and almost ignoring her, not giving her any attention. And as she's making these car noises, he keeps turning up the radio to kind of drown her out. Like, he doesn't have time to be bothered with her. And she keeps getting louder and louder. And then I think that's where he tells her to cut it out. And she takes off her seatbelt to climb further in the back or something. And then he's looking at her, trying to get her back in her seat. That's when the accident happens. But I kind of wanted to call out that because that next day when she's getting her breakfast in the kitchen, the dad's in there getting his breakfast, and the two of them don't even acknowledge each other or share two words. It's almost like they're home alone in the house. Yeah. So
I think she was complaining she had a stomach ache talking to her mom, and her mom said, have your dad look at her. Dad must have been the doctor, but have your dad look at her. And that was kind of a surprise to me that he was a doctor too. So, I can't remember what his diagnosis was at that point, but anyway, it wasn't, and that was odd to me too, because she pulled her shirt up and he was pressing on her belly.
Yeah.
And he stopped and basically said, I think there's nothing wrong with you, or something to that effect. And I took his hand and put it back on her stomach where he was pushing and rubbing on her stomach. And I thought that's odd too. They keep throwing these little weird, odd things at us. Right. He jerks his hand back and gives her a dirty look and walks off. So I wasn't really sure what that was either. Because it was very strange. She obviously had a very strained relationship with her father for some reason, and we don't really know why. But I wanted to bring that up because I think that contrasts to what we see later in the film, where she's got that pseudo dad, the fireman, right? And he seems much more emotionally free, able to expose himself. I mean, we see him at one point. This is towards the end of the film where they meet up and they're dancing, and he's trying to get her going, and she's almost withdrawn to the point where she's like her father. But yeah, exactly. And I think too, maybe just pressing on her stomach, because I think she had metal plates for whatever reason somewhere in her abdomen, or somehow something was going on with metal down in there. And I think him touching it bothered him, and she forced him to go back and touch it. And I think he just was like, I don't want to be part of this. Maybe the guilt, and he just feels so bad. I don't know. And she was just trying to remind him that, hey, you did this to me. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But anyway, as you were saying, we see eventually she meets this woman. They start having this lesbian thing going on, and she starts trying to tear off her nipple rings with her teeth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which,
she just went from like, this is teasing to like, no, I think I'm going to rip
sensual to
off.
Right? Yeah. And we've explained a lot so far, which sounds like a crazy movie, but we still aren't even to the weird things. It's not crazy yet, people. Just wait.
Yeah.
At this point, we're just following a serial killer in the making, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so anyway, as Chris was alluding, we see them back at her place apparently, and she ends up just killing the shit out of her. I think she used her hairpin again, right?
Yeah.
In the ear.
Mm-hmm.
Killed her, and then somebody comes down from upstairs.
Mm-hmm. Some guy.
And doesn't realize really what's going on, but didn't she grab a fireplace poker and whap him upside the head, knocked him out, or knocked him down anyway. And then she grabs a bar stool and puts the foot of the stool in his mouth and just pushes it through the back of his head.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm just sitting there going, no. Oh, that would be a fucking horrible way to go. Just to have your spine crushed with the foot of a
I don't know that anyone had a painless death in this film.
Right.
They were all pretty interesting ways to die.
Right. So anyway, so now she's got 2 dead bodies, and then someone else shows up upstairs on the 2nd floor.
She's like, what are the odds?
And she's like, Jesus, how many people are in this house? So she runs upstairs. Well, that person figures out, I think, locked herself in the bathroom because she figured out what was going on. And so she's trying to figure out how she's going to get to her. And then somebody else comes out of the bedroom. Another guy comes out.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the point, if I remember right, where she left there, but she wasn't able to kill everybody. So there were witnesses that could describe her, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
But then she went back to her parents' house and went up and found her parents, and they were like in their bedroom. So she pulls back the door, locks the door, and sets the house on fire.
She set something on fire.
She went to burn something, and the whole house ended up.
And the whole house went up. Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
It was like burning it in the garage or something.
Right. Yeah. She burned a bunch of stuff in the garage, and then didn't she open the door and peer at her dad?
Yeah.
And he looked at her, and she just is like.
And she locked the door.
Locked the door and left. Shit.
So at this point you're like, wait, wait, what is going on here?
Right.
So she's leaving a trail of bodies at this point.
Yeah.
Anyone that knows her though, that or basically has come across her, she's basically killed at this point.
Basically, yeah.
Right.
So what was she at a train station or something when she saw the description of the police?
Yeah.
So
it seemed like she was at a train station or a bus station or something like that.
Yeah, and so she ends up going into like the bathroom or something and just does a number on herself.
Because she's watching. She sees the police have a artist sketch of her on the thing, and so she realizes she's got to do something or she's going to be caught. And she saw a bunch of pictures of missing children and focused on one of them. And the guy, it was a boy that was in the picture, but he kind of had like a broad, he had like a broad nose. Right. And so go ahead, Chris. The next thing we see her in the bathroom.
Well, I think what happened too was there was a progression thing. So this kid had been kidnapped or disappeared when he was way younger.
Yeah.
And they had a progression photo of him several years later. And
what he should look like.
Try to match that progression.
That's right.
But I'm starting to remember now. I'm starting to remember what convinced me to watch this movie. And whatever I had seen, the preview or the guy talking about it said I've seen a million horror movies and I can watch anything and it doesn't bother me. He's like, but this movie really got to me. And I remember him saying, even the sounds, there was times where I had to put my fingers over my ears because of the sound I was hearing.
Yeah.
And that's what's coming up when she was in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that scene in the bathroom was just kind of one of those.
So Benito, Benito, you want to describe what happened there? So
So she's she needs to match. She's, a very thin girl with a very thin face, but you're right. I think the progression photo that this kid had a little bit wider of a nose.
Yeah.
So she goes in the bathroom. I think she dyed she cut all her hair off is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
To match the photo. And then on top of that, she was trying to figure out how to change her nose and decided that bashing her nose against the edge of the porcelain sink.
Well, first she punched herself in the nose several times, but she couldn't do it.
Right. So then she decides she's going to slam her face onto the edge of the porcelain sink.
Oh my God. I just
did it multiple times. And you hear the crack.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And she does it nice and slow. It shows her, kind of lining things up and and then she caves her nose in. God.
Oh
her
my
black
God.
eyes. She looked like she'd been in a street fight. That was so
brutal.
I mean, it was graphic.
Even right now, I'm cringing just at remembering that scene.
God, just bad.
It was very well done. She did everything she had to do, regardless of the pain. Went through it, changed her appearance, and got out of town.
Yeah, and
right.
hit the road.
Oh, and then there was one more thing we see there with the gauze wrapping herself.
Oh yeah. So she had to cover up her breast and also start to kind of
flatten her breast, right? And also her belly, which is now starting to show.
Yeah, at this point in the film, it's clear that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Like how or whose baby or what baby, this is becoming clear and so she's pregnant too. So she's got to now change a lot of things about how she goes about her daily routine at this point.
Right. Yeah.
So once she goes through this brutal transformation, the 15-minute woman to man transformation process that she goes through, she turns herself into the police and says, "I'm this missing kid."
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they call this kid's dad. He shows up and sees this wreck of a person, but in some ways it could be his son.
Yeah.
And in his mind, what parent doesn't want to believe that they found their child?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. And she's close enough and beat up enough. You're right. You couldn't tell really at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
So ends up taking what was the kid's name? Andy?
Hold on, I've got it right here.
She assumes his
Adrian. She was Alexia as the woman, and then became Adrian.
As the man now. So she assumes Adrian's identity and goes home with this guy that shows up. That's Adrian's father, who's like a fireman chief or something of that nature.
Right. Exactly. Right. And no, you don't know you're about to see a whole different movie yet.
Yeah,
we've seen.
But we're getting
right.
So far, we've seen two movies. We saw the beginning with she has sex with cars, and then we saw a movie where she's a serial
killer.
And now we're about to start a third movie.
Yeah, right.
Act 3.
Yeah, Act 3. So he picks her up, takes her in the car, drives the two of them back to the station house, the fire station,
right,
and basically introduces her to all the cadets and all the guys that work there as his son, and basically says this: he's going to be a fireman, and you guys are going to work with him. We're going to train him, and take it or leave it. Tough shit.
Right.
And that is literally the attitude he basically has. Because make no mistake, there's questions with the other firemen when he brings Adrian in. In terms of who's this weirdo looking guy, and is this really his son? And does this make any kind of sense? But this fireman chief, he's a broken man. It's clear that when he lost his son, he was broken after that.
Yeah, the character's name is Vincent.
Vincent.
Vincent. Yeah, Vincent's in bad shape.
Yeah.
He's. Yeah. I mean, now that I said that, that's light. When I say he's in bad shape, he's in a wreck.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's not just a wreck because he had lost his son, but he's trying to keep up with
He's trying to be young
and the younger kids. Yeah,
right.
And so he's constantly pushing his body, which is falling apart. He's taking tons of steroids.
Right. In fact, he's black and blue from all the steroid shots that he's injecting in himself, as we find out later.
Yeah,
and also, it's obvious at this point that he's not married any longer. And I'm assuming that maybe that happened when the son disappeared, right? Maybe that caused the breakup of the marriage.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Because we do see the wife later when he invites her over to see the son, who I think she realizes is not.
She definitely did. And she even catches her not fully dressed down to or dressed up to hide the fact that Adrian is actually she. And she basically says, take care of him. He's broken, and but she doesn't want to break that illusion for him either. That might do more harm at this point to him.
Yeah, exactly right.
So
we're talking about the scene where she breaks her nose and how painful that was. Those scenes where she was bandaging herself up later on, they just look so unbelievable or unbelievably painful. She started out with, pardon, I'm not trying to get overly descriptive, but she started out with fairly small breasts as she was a dancer. Not small, but whatever. And then as she's pregnant and her breasts are getting bigger, she's having to strap these monsters down.
Really having to work at it.
Yeah, she's got a big stomach. She's really squishing down with the wraps, and she just.
Yeah, and I don't know how as tight as that those wrappings were. She would not have had a miscarriage, but
or be able to breathe
because she totally disguised it to the point where she looked like a boy.
Yeah. God, she just looked like she's
even at like 9 months along.
Well, but you remember it went faster than 9 months. It was like
well, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. But,
how long does a car take to make on an assembly line?
I don't know.
About the time it took for that baby to be born, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
But she did a good job of hiding from her dad the fact that she was a girl, or her dad, Vincent, did a really good job. I'm trying to figure out at some point he's figuring it out. And I don't know exactly. I don't know if it was when she was dancing seductively on top of the fire truck.
Maybe I think that's when it was, when she was dancing.
I think that confirmed it for him. I think he was 100%.
Yeah.
But that confirmed it. And the reality is he also didn't want to break that delusion.
Right.
He was in.
Yeah, he was shaving her lip, trying to get her to get a mustache started and a beard, and their relationship was weird too. I just kept thinking, is this great. Yeah, I don't know if it was. I kept thinking, is this some sort of not a sexual relationship, but the bond seemed so strange between a father and a son, and maybe it seemed so strange because he knew that wasn't actually his son, but I don't know.
I remember I
so freaking uncomfortable every time those two were together.
I know, it's awkward. It was just awkward.
I can't,
especially that scene where it's early in those two's relationship, and he's trying to, I think, break the ice with her a little bit.
The dancing scene.
And they're dancing in the apartment, and he's like, runs up to her and he's chest bumping her, with this dance going on. And I'm like, this was really, really strange. But that was the part for me where it was such a juxtaposition between how her own father was so emotionless, but then this guy is just kind of all over the place, almost like a freak, to the point of being a freak show. And she's kind of gone, I think, towards the father's side of things, where she's got this almost emotionless thing going on.
I kept thinking she's going to kill him because he had her locked in that room. There were so many rules and restrictions, and I kept thinking, when is she going to kill him? There was one part, you guys had to have thought it too, that he overdosed on steroids and was dead.
Yes.
Yeah. He leaned up against the bathtub. I was like, oh shit, he's dead. Now she can escape.
Right.
And then no, she stayed and nursed him back to health, if you will. You know, and that was kind of maybe a turning point for Adrian. You know, that she was just going to accept this and try to make it work for as long as she could.
Right.
So I mean, where else was she going to go at this point?
Yeah, that's
exactly.
True. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it took such a weird turn at that point.
It's worth pointing out. She almost kills Vincent during that dancing scene. She goes to get her chopsticks out, I believe, to stab him. And
really?
He takes that's right, and like knocks it across the room or whatever.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right.
So it wasn't. I mean, to point that out, there was serious tension between them when this whole thing started, because I mean, like you guys pointed out, it was almost like she was a captive at this point. And Vincent's like, you're going to be my son and you're going to like it. And we're going to play like everything's nice and everything. And then eventually they, for better or worse, they kind of needed each other, which is weird. But it's kind of how it played out. Yes. And so here she is again with the chopsticks contemplating. This is when Vincent ODs and she can end it all right here. It can be over. It can be done. She can escape. And she decides against it. Yeah,
so weird. Yeah, it's. I mean, I love it all the way through up to this point. It's so great because you just don't know what's gonna hit you next. Like you sucker punch, and you don't know where we're going.
Right, and I think the thing that really kept me going is I'm wondering what in the hell she's going to give birth to, because now by this point, we have seen enough indications in the progression of the pregnancy that we know this is not a normal, because she's leaking oil from her breasts, right? and I mean, it's dark oil, like, you know, motor oil, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And from all kinds of places.
Yeah, other orifices as well. And so at this point, we know, okay, this is not going to be a human baby, most likely.
So it's not going to end well.
Some sort of human vehicle hybrid.
Didn't the oil show up really early in the movie, though?
Yeah, it started to,
Yeah, very early on.
And she's like, oh, what the hell? I'm leaking. And then she puts her hand on her pants and comes up and is like,
yeah, she even tries to do like a, you know, maybe a self-abortion there.
That's right.
With the damn pick.
I forgot
that.
Oh my God!
Cringe on a whole nother level.
Oh,
it's just her on the toilet, you know, and I think she like stuffs a towel in her mouth or whatever and just starts going at it. And
I think
with her ultimate utility for killing, right?
I had totally blanked that part out of my consciousness.
There's probably a reason for that.
Thanks, Chris.
Coming back.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, allowed to recommend a movie again.
You just black it out. You're like, we're gonna move on and not talk about that again. But we're here to talk about it tonight.
Yes.
Right. Okay, and she's not fitting in with any of the other firemen at all. She's trying, but she's just not. She's just awkward and not as strong as they are. And the fire chief, Victor, keeps trying to shove her down everybody's, shove her down, and I was gonna say shove down everybody's mouth, but you know what I mean.
He did have her save a woman, though. Remember, they were saving some guy, and his wife was there, and she passed out. And so instead of having his regular technician save the woman, he has the daughter, the /son. He has her. He talks him through it to the tune of the Macarena.
Oh, that's right. That's right. This could be a part in the movie where she may have decided that, hey, maybe this is my trajectory.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm done killing and I'm into saving now.
Wasn't there, and I'm trying to remember this now, and I only have like a fleeting glimpse of it left in my mind, but there was a point, and as I'm thinking about it now, was it a flashback maybe where he's in a fire and there's like
in the oven,
a boy
burning
in a cupboard or something?
Yeah. So I think that was a flashback, and maybe it alludes to problems that he's been having just personally on the job too. But yeah,
right.
it was like they were going through in the real world. I think they were going through an exercise, a fire drill, if you will, and he kind of flashed back to this scene where he must have opened a cabinet at one point that had a child burned alive on the inside. Because when he snaps back to reality, there's nothing in there. You know, his teammates like, "Yo, are you good?" You know, and I do think it was a flashback. But along those lines, speaking of Vincent on the job, where I actually was trying to wrap my head around whether this was intentional or an accident was when they did respond to that fire incident in the forest or whatever it was, and they're carrying out that tank.
Yes.
And to back up real quick,
that's right.
There is one particular member of his crew that did not really get along with Adrian at all.
Right.
And maybe even tried to bring it up and break that illusion for Vincent.
For Vincent, right.
Yeah. And so when they're in the forest, they're supposed to secure what I think it was like a propane tank or something. And Vincent just hands it to the guy that he's been having words with, if you will, that these disagreements over Adrian. And and then it cuts back to the forest, and then there's this massive explosion. And I couldn't tell whether it was because Vincent was so distracted that he got a team member killed, or was it that Vincent intentionally set that guy up to get killed? I think
I felt that it was intentional.
I felt it was intentional.
It was. That kid actually had done some research and figured out who the girl was.
Okay.
And I think it started to come to light when they were all dancing in that bar with the red lights, and they were all
right after that he gets killed, I think.
Yeah, he started to bring it up then about who,
and he said, "Don't talk about my son."
Right, and then it was totally intentional. I think they were going to pull that tank out of the burning forest. For whatever reason, Vincent gave it back to him and said, "Here, hold this. I'll be right back."
Yeah,
so it'll blow.
Vincent walked
that was the end of him.
And the flame got him and he exploded. Yeah.
But on that flashback scene, I was thinking at the time that I wondered if that was what really had happened to his son, and that he couldn't accept it, and that's when he filed the missing police report. But maybe I'm way off base here. But
no, that's a nice theory, actually.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Interesting.
For what it's worth. But so then she starts dancing seductively for the fireman on top of a fire truck.
And
right.
As one would.
Right. So Benito, take us back to that scene.
So I don't remember what they were celebrating, or if they were just, because there's a lot of times where it's just boys being boys for whatever reason. There's no women around, so these guys are just, they dance with each other and they
partying in the firehouse.
Yeah. And there was some music playing and they were drinking and having a good time. And she crawled up on top of the fire truck and started dancing very seductively, like she would have on the hood of the car in the beginning, almost.
Right.
She was stood up more throughout it, but she 100% looked like a stripper / go-go dancer.
Yeah, we're talking booty out, tits out.
Yeah, everybody's looking at her like what in the world is this guy like doing? He's dancing like a girl, and they were taken aback and not. I don't know that they were so off put by it, but they were definitely. They thought it was strange. Dad was very off put by what was happening. And at that point, I don't know if he knew that wasn't his son or not.
I think for him, that was when he accepted to not care. Like he knew, but they still weren't going to talk about it. Because he does have a conversation with her at some point saying, "I don't care what you are or who you are. You're still my son."
Right. So, so she then, I think she was upset that she disappointed him too. So then that was that. And then I think, I'm not sure where we moved on after that. We're jumping around so much. That whole part we're jumping around the timeline. We're talking about things out of order, but it doesn't make any difference to what we're saying. But I don't remember what happened after the truck for sure.
Well, that's when she had the baby.
Yeah,
I think that's when she started having labor pains.
I was about to say, I think the baby's coming pretty quick.
Yeah. So this after the so she Yeah, it's worth pointing out she has sex with another vehicle, the fire truck at this
Oh, yeah,
point.
that's right. We fire. Yeah.
After the dance scene, she just disappointment there. So yeah, we go back to Weird again.
She does it with Big Red.
Yeah. Okay, let me fix my brain here because that's just
she literally got hosed.
That happened. Yeah, so at this point, as Linda said, she starts having labor pains. She can't hide it anymore, really. This belly's become really big, and she's still kind of leaking oil from it. And now she starts trying to see, can I just rip this baby out? Can I do something about this? And then it becomes clear, like, there's something under her skin, and this is where it starts to get real graphic, right? Mm-hmm. And ripping, you could see her skin start to tear and revealing some kind of metallic inside to her belly. Right. That's definitely when things got a little weird.
Yeah, my brain was not comprehending what I was seeing when it was such a close-up of her stomach as it separated and tore open, and there was a shiny metal plate in there. My brain, for whatever reason, was not putting everything together.
Mine was not still either at this point.
I was like, what? I don't understand which body part this is. Or like, what's happening? Where's this coming from? But then she got into bed with the dad, with Vincent.
Yes. Tried to seduce him initially.
What's that?
Tried to seduce him initially.
Yes.
Which was another weird left turn.
Very weird. Because she's having a baby. So what?
Yeah, now it seems like a good time to have sex with the guy who's supposed to be playing the role of your dad.
Who thinks thinks he's my dad? Yeah.
But it's obvious at this point she was pretty lubed up.
She was lubed up.
But it's very nice.
Yeah.
All right. So
well, Vincent gives in.
Yeah, which is
weird.
Which is again weird.
Because Vincent knows that it's not his son.
Right. Exactly. Right.
But he doesn't care.
Yeah, Vincent's lonely.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I just, so the last few minutes here, this tail end of the movie, as we get into this, is a whole bizarre 10 minutes worth of beholding the birth of this baby, okay, which does not come easy. And so Vincent is pretty much ready to leave at this point, and then I can't remember if she asked him to stay or help or whatever, but he does eventually stay to help deliver this baby. Mm-hmm. And as Adrian is pushing, you can see these tears start to happen around her belly, exposing this titanium womb, and you see also along her head where she has this gnarly scar from where she had the titanium plate in there. As she gives kind of the final push, you see that plate kind of just split open, and it's almost like her entire insides were just kind of changed to produce this baby. Right. Now Vincent's now got this child, and presumably, and then I think this is what happens is, Adrian dies here. Okay. So spoiler alert again, she's been, molded to produce this baby. And when Vincent's holding the baby, it's brief, but you get the sense this baby's also not normal. This baby's got metallic pieces around the spine, or
almost look like a titanium spinal column.
Yeah. And so
on the outside.
It's kind of hybrid type of baby. And so Vincent kind of, takes it, and that kind of sees us out to the exit of the movie. Again, this is just very, very bizarre last few minutes of the film, but it becomes, it answers a lot of questions like, wait, okay, so she was indeed impregnated by the vehicle in the beginning of the movie. That must have been motor oil, not some weird goopy black, devil blood or something. And it was just bizarre.
I was kind of half expecting to see a full frontal nude shot of the baby, and it's penis would have been a gear shifter.
Although what could be weird?
Real big and deep here, guys.
Oh, that's true. Why would that be weird?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
at this point, could be anything. Like,
Yeah. So, and the end.
The end.
Well, that's
So what were your guys'
that
brain-
gives him the son that he lost.
What
So
kind of
that's-
messages were going through your brain when you got?
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
that
Very
made
good,
me
Linda.
just.
Yeah,
What?
good, Linda.
No, I mean that's what I think the
Yeah.
final thing was, and
Yeah.
he wanted to have his son back, and now she's dead, so he's got to take care of it.
Yeah. Huh,
Right.
good one.
Right.
Anyway, what'd you
Yeah.
say, Chris?
What was going through your guys' minds when you got to the end of the film?
What the?
When I got to the end, well, so Linda and I watched it with our friend Josh Cato.
Oh my God,
And-
he was so
and-
fun.
So Josh is
He's like, this is disturbing.
Josh is the kind of guy that you can't even tell him the name of the movie because he will look it up
He'll research it. Yeah.
and he'll research it and he'll come knowing too much about it to make it.
And it ruins it for everybody.
Well, it doesn't really ruin it for us because he doesn't ruin it by saying what he found really, but part of my enjoyment is watching his reaction to something that he wasn't expecting. And that's the way Lynn and I were. We went into it and Benito's like, you got to watch this movie. Don't look up anything about it. Don't research it before and just go watch it,
Yep.
And so that's what I want to do. And I want to make sure that Josh was the same way, that he didn't, cheat.
So we didn't tell him what it was.
But as he's watching it and the movie's going on and on, I can see him over on his phone because he's like trying to figure out what the hell's going to happen next, right? And so as the movie ends and the credits are rolling up, he turns to me and he goes, "Bill, what the hell did I just watch?"
That
was
was my reaction.
Yeah, that was my
reaction too. But I will say the cinematography on the whole thing was really great.
It was.
The story had me rapt attention the whole time.
Yep.
Mostly because I'm trying to figure out what weird shit's going to happen next and where's this going. Is she going to give birth to an actual like baby taxi or something? I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. But and definitely the emphasis on the body horror for the whole thing, I think. But yeah, it seemed mostly to be about relationships to me, because the first part we see her strained relationship with her father. She got kind of a different relationship with her mother, and then she gets this new father, Vincent. And the development of that whole relationship, and then the relationship she had with her lesbian lover and the people that she murdered, and it was pretty intense. And I don't know, do you guys think it would have been quite as impactful or as intense if there wasn't a lot of the motor oil leaking out of her or some of the more bizarre things that happened?
I think the intensity came from, and it's not because I'm a makeup guy. The intensity came from, seeing her transformation. It wasn't her transforming into a car or a vehicle. It was her actual transformation of being pregnant. And that was just so intense to me. And I felt so uncomfortable. Just, she's sweating and she looks miserable. She has these big pregnant boobies and this big belly, and she's trying to strap things down and it hurts, and she's leaking stuff everywhere. And then also, trying to convince this guy that she's who she's not. And
right.
Yeah.
So I think the intensity for me came from just all of that. Just, they didn't hold back on showing you anything. They didn't hold back anything.
Yeah.
I think that was the best thing to do.
Yeah. And the other thing is that she was not in the beginning a sympathetic character at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at her and I mean, she's a serial killer, right? She's brutal,
right?
Killing these people and killing them horribly. And
cold as ice. That kid that wanted the autograph, he's not stalkery in the beginning, and she's she's just cold and rude to him in the beginning, and then he gets what he deserves later. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
She just no sympathy or empathy at all.
Yeah, I mean, but then as the film goes on, you're suddenly, looking at all this stuff she's having to go through to do this, and you're kind of sympathizing with her plight in a way, even though you're like, a lot of this is all self-inflicted really because of the stuff that she's done. Right. So it's kind of weird to be kind of
I don't know,
feeling sorry for her, I guess, but at the same time thinking, well, she kind of deserves it because she's an asshole.
Right? I love anti-hero stuff where they convince you to, root for the bad guy that doesn't deserve it. And this is definitely a movie that does that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you guys, 2 thumbs up on the show?
Oh yeah, I still recommend it to this day. Yeah. I'm still recommending it.
Yeah, it was definitely original, and what I appreciated about it is they didn't waste a lot of time going into too much of the backstory. You had just enough to kind of keep the mystery there and understand that relationships can be complicated, but they didn't need to try and spell it all out for you. Left you to think a little bit about it. So I appreciated how swiftly the movie kind of just kept moving forward onto the next thing.
Great picture.
Yeah, so there's a glimpse you get of the child that's been born, and this is really where the movie ends, and it just kind of leaves you thinking. I wonder what's going through his head right now.
Right. Am I going to have to put plates on this thing?
Right.
Am I going to have to have to license this?
Right. Please don't tell me I have to pay taxes on this, right?
Right.
It was a good film. I'd give it 2 thumbs up because it was very for me. I like originality. I like stories. I like even if they are hard to, I won't say comprehend, but they're kind of a little bit out of left field. This one made me cringe. I don't do too many body horror type films. But this one was enjoyable just for the fact that it was completely unique. It wasn't just gore, right? It wasn't people getting their limbs ripped off or anything. It was making this as real as possible for you to understand this experience of having sex with a car and having its baby after, and it just all the shit that happens in between that.
Right?
Yeah, it was quite the ride. I was like, what? Yeah, I was like Josh Cato. What the hell is Benito Garcia here?
Well, no,
but it was good. I liked it.
It was funny because for the first 10 minutes, while she was dancing on the car and the bump and the grind, Bill and I both looked at each other and said, "Well, now we know why Benito liked it."
Yes. Right. Any healthy male would like that.
Yeah, great.
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, the trailer for the film does not do it any justice. The trailer for the film did intrigue me as it was, in its original form, but it doesn't really give you the full story. The trailer, I think, seems to give you some kind of film about a girl who really likes cars.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of it. And then it goes way beyond that. There's so much more depth to it. But I also don't know how you portray that in a trailer without to get the effect of people wanting to watch it. You can't give them that. You have to let them be surprised.
Yeah, because that would have ruined it. You've got to keep, especially with a movie like this where there's just so much bizarre stuff going on. You don't want to give that all away in the trailer because that's where it gets its impact, right? Is where you're seeing this on screen as you're watching it. So, yeah, I thought it was
good.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Great movie.
Yeah,
and well acted, actually.
Yeah, and I heard that was like they found her on some social media app, the actress, and I don't think she had. Yeah, I don't think she had acted much at all before this. And I can't remember where they found her.
Yeah, she had not. She really only got her start 2021, kind of. She did some short films, but this is really her first, debut.
God, she nailed it.
She did.
It did win the 2021 Cannes Film Festival Award.
Yeah.
So.
Really? Huh. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
this is just
all
like
right.
after the movie, you're just like,
I know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Now I look at my car in a whole new light.
You know, we didn't mention that, but the minute that she got out of the hospital and was released, and she walked up to the car that was taking her home, and she kind of gave it a little hug and
Yeah.
did she
Yeah.
kiss the window, or she rubbed her face on it or something.
Yeah, right.
So when
Right.
that happens, you're like, well, that's weird, but you're not realizing where we're going to end up at.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Hmm.
Classic. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on for this little live show here so we could talk about Titane. And
Right?
yeah, hopefully we'll find another movie here in another month or so. We'll have to get back on and do a review of something else that's strange.
I'm going to put something in here, but not just, it's so good. I was talking to a guy at work today. This is the name of it. I just put it in the chat. I would love to come back on anytime you guys are watching something funky or freaky. Let me know. And
yeah,
you want me to come back?
Definitely do that.
And watch something weird. I love weird stuff.
Yeah, we do too, as you know.
Yeah.
What did our guy came, the furnace guy, to not fix our furnace, but do our furnace check? And Bill's telling him about this movie.
No.
I told him about it. So he may be watching our live show now. He actually looked up our show, our Galactic Driftwood show, while he was here. So,
that's cool.
Yeah,
and he said, what was it? The centipede? Something about the centipedes?
Oh, the human centipede.
The human
yes,
centipede.
have you seen that one?
The first one's okay. It kind of sets the stage for what's going on. The second one, was the craziest thing. Amazing actors. The story was just. I think they might even have made a third one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they did. There are 3.
Oh, that's right.
Really?
That was in a prison. That one took place in a prison. But that was okay. It was a little funky and campy. And the first one set the premise. But honestly, I just go straight to the second one because there's just enough flashback of the first one.
Everything in.
Yeah, and the first one is so long and drawn out that of unnecessary stuff that the second one just gives you enough of that first one that you needed for the second one. God, the second one, the story is so creepy and so good.
Awesome. We'll have to see that. We'll have to come back and talk about the centipede.
Yeah, we'll definitely check it out.
All right. Well, careful if you could pull that one. Whoa. All right.
Check it out. All right, folks. Well, we hope you all enjoyed tonight's After Dark discussion of the movie Titane. And where do we see it? Wasn't it on HBO, I think?
Titane was on Amazon Prime.
Shudder.
Amazon Prime. Okay.
Amazon Prime or Shudder. I think that's. I can't remember. I think that's where we saw it.
Yeah, I can't remember where we saw it.
Yeah.
I
Anyway.
think it's $2, $1.99 on Prime.
Yep. Check it out and let us know in the comments what you think. If you agreed with us, if it was worth watching, if you enjoyed it, if it kept your attention, or if it turned you off so bad you couldn't make it through the first 5 or 10 minutes.
Right? I'm trying to figure out where the off ramp was on that because it just kept pulling me in. I don't know where I
Right. Right. I think we offered to show it to our friend Zach Nelson. He's very squeamish, and we kind of just gave him just a little titillating tidbit of it, and that was enough. I'm out. So he would have been the one, the first hairpin that went through the ear, and the guy spitting up on her as he's trying to kiss her through the window. That would have been his off ramp right there.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, man.
He'd have been out.
So, all right, folks. Well, anyway, we'll look forward to your comments. Let us know what you think, and have a good one. We'll catch you on the next show. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.